And I want to welcome you to this week's edition of the Real Life Real Estate Column. Today I'll be discussing how to buy a house without a bank. When we market to sell a house, our company, we often use the term buy a house with no bank. And that confuses a lot of people because they are used to getting a bank loan when they actually go in to want to buy a house. Well, the thing about it is in most cases, you don't have to get a bank loan in order to buy a house. I know that sounds confusing to a lot of people, and that goes against the traditional way that you've been taught to purchase a property. But there are a lot of people out there that are not able to sell their houses, and they could sell them a lot easier if they were to offer some form of owner financing, because that's really what this comes down to, owner financing. Owner financing was actually pretty big back in the 70s and the 80s. If anybody remembers Reaganomics, when interest rates were extremely high, 17, 18%, a lot of people didn't have the ability to get a bank loan, or they could get a bank loan, but even if they could, they couldn't make the payments. And nowadays we're faced with the same dilemma where the interest rates are really low, but they're very hard. It's very hard to get a bank loan. Well, owner financing is a solution to that. There really are only two ways to buy a house without a bank loan. The first way is to buy all cash. And if you're listening to this, more than likely you don't have 70 or 80 or $100,000 sitting around so that you can buy a house cash. But owner financing is the other way, and it works really well. A lot of people are confused about why a seller, would consider owner financing. But the truth of the matter is, there are a couple of reasons why a seller would consider owner financing. The first reason is that they can sell their house a lot faster. If you've tried to sell a house, or if you're familiar with anyone who's trying to sell a house, then you know that right now the market is very slow in a lot of properties, unless they're priced really low, are just sitting there. The banks have filled the market with foreclosures and everything else. So a regular person that wants to sell their house and is not just giving it away has to sit on the market a lot longer and wait for a buyer. And buyers are very picky right now because they know there's a buyer's market, and they can basically sit back and look for whatever they want. So that's the first reason a seller would consider owner financing, because it will allow them to sell their house faster. The second reason is that you'll get a lot more people interested in your house. So even if you don't sell it as fast, you'll get a lot more people that are willing to come and look at it and tell you what they like and what they don't like, and you can kind of adjust from there. The third reason is that sellers can often get a higher price for their property than just traditional selling of a property. A lot of times I've sold a property with owner financing, and I've been able to ask, if not the top market value, a little bit over the top market value, because of the fact that I'm offering the financing to go along with the property, which are that's really the missing piece that a lot of people are having trouble with right now. The last benefit, and probably the biggest for a seller, is that they can get a return on their money. See, in most cases, a seller is only going to do one of two things with the money they get from selling their home. Or, well, actually, I take that back. One of three things. Either they're not going to get any money back from the sale of their home, they're just selling it for what they owe. Or two, they're going to take that money and move into a new house and use that as a down payment on a new house. Or three, they're just going to hold the money and take it and spend it or something like that. But wouldn't it be smarter if that same seller were offering owner financing, and instead of getting a 1% or a 1/3% or whatever they are offering at a bank right now, they could get a 7 or 8% return on their money? And the reason they could do that is because they can charge an interest rate the same way banks do to that buyer that's actually buying their property. They charge them an interest rate, and they would get that interest would be their profit on their money. Well, the other part of that is, when you do owner financing, a lot of people get nervous and they're worried, because the first thing they think to themselves is, how am I going to make sure that they pay me my money for my property? And what if they don't pay me, and they've got my house now, they own my house, and they don't pay? Well, you will be in the same position as the bank. There's only one difference. If you do owner financing, the way you would set up your owner financing is by doing a land contract, which allows you to take the property back a lot faster than a foreclosure. You would only have to do an eviction. Now, that still doesn't make a lot of people feel better, because they're thinking, well, what if they destroy my property in the process of me putting them out of the property? Well, in most cases, if you set up your owner financing right, you're going to ask for a down payment from the seller or from the buyer to get into the house. So if you put together a decent down payment, or if you ask for a decent down payment and you get a good down payment from your buyer, then if they do move out or don't pay or destroy the house, then you've got good money behind them to make those repairs or cover those payments while they're not making the payments. Once they get out, you put the house back on the market and you sell it to a new buyer, and then that new buyer comes up with a down payment, and then you're right back where you started, but you got to keep a little bit of change. Now, a lot of people, the other part of it is, a lot of people may ask, what about if I already have a mortgage on my property? I can't do owner financing. And that's actually not true. You can do what's called a wraparound mortgage. A wraparound mortgage is where you get financing that's above and beyond the underlying mortgage that you have on your property. So let's say, for example, you're selling your house for $150,000. You owe $100,000 on the house. You would offer, let's say, owner financing at $135,000 down. They would pay you $15,000 as a down payment. You would carry $135,000. Your payment would be whatever your payment needed to be at the 7% interest rate, and out of that money you would pay your original mortgage every month, and then at the same time you would keep the change or keep the difference. That interest and that payment would be your profit on the property. I like owner financing a lot better than renting a house, because when you rent a house, you're responsible for all the repairs, all the fix up, all that kind of stuff. But if you just do owner financing, they're responsible for that, and the mindset of that buyer is different, because they look at it as a property that they will own or that they're owning, as opposed to a property that they're just renting. So it's a much better mindset from your buyer. So I definitely think if you're having trouble selling a property, or if you're looking to buy a property and don't have great credit or don't have the ability to go to a bank, you should definitely consider owner financing. Next blog, I'll try to mention some things about how to find properties available for owner financing. And I'll tell you about our company and how we sell our properties with owner financing to our buyers. If you have any questions that you'd like me to address on this blog, then by all means send me an email. The email address here is sales, S-A-L-E-S, at webuyhouses2, that's the number 2.net. Again, that's sales at webuyhouses2.net. You can ask me any question on real estate investment, financing for real estate. If I don't know the answer, then I will research it and find an answer for you and post it on the site. Look forward to speaking with you all. Hope you enjoyed this clip. Thanks.